So at the beginning of the year, I decided to take early retirement, as regular viewers of this channel will know. And yeah, it's been pretty brilliant, to be honest. A steep learning curve, but overall pretty brilliant. But I want to be 100% real with you today. I think I made one massive mistake. Sure, I planned things, I thought it through, I imagined it, I saved for it, obsessed over it a lot. I did a hell of a lot of spreadsheets. Oh my God, how many? But I never actually practiced being retired. I just sort of jumped in. You know, when the opportunity came, I knew the finances were in place, so I sort of just grabbed it and I took the leap. But there is this one idea I wish I'd taken seriously, and it's called the retirement rehearsal. Some might call it groundbreaking, I'm not sure about that, but it's certainly a method that lets you literally test drive your post-work life before you kind of actually quit. If there's one piece of advice I can give to people thinking of retirement, whether it's early retirement or any kind of retirement, it's definitely, I'd say, consider this concept. If you're sort of 5 years, 10 years, or even sort of 20 years out, I think it's the one thing that will let you avoid the common pitfalls and hopefully script a future that's actually genuinely perfect for you when it comes to retirement. So the big question is, why do this? As you draw closer to that big leap, that kind of stepping off the precipice, you're sort of staring at the two-headed dragon of anxiety. I definitely felt this. Have I made the right decision? Have I done all the right maths? What will I actually do with my time? Thinking about retirement is one thing. We can all dream. Oh gosh, we can all imagine. But when it actually comes to doing it, you know, making that leap, for all the planning, it's scary. Head number one of that anxiety dragon is, of course, can I afford it? It's the obvious one. It's the fear of outliving your money. You know, that's the big fear we have. Have I got enough? And it's probably the one that gets 99% of all our attention when it comes to planning for retirement. God knows how many times I redid my spreadsheets, heard another bit of advice, then went back and did the spreadsheets again, double, triple, checking everything. Oh my God, watched a YouTube video from a financial advisor. Oh my God, oops, re-edit the spreadsheet again. Crazy. Will I have enough? But there's a more sort of insidious level than that. And it's weird. It's the actual fear of spending your nest egg. It's a funny one, really. It's that psychological paralysis where you've got the money on paper, you know what the plan is, but now you've actually got to draw down on it. But you've spent so long saving it, being so diligent, being so careful, that you're just a little bit too terrified to actually start spending it and enjoying your life. I said, you've been so focused and diligent building that precious nest egg. When it comes time to start spending it, it just feels a little bit icky. Every time I have to go to my little savings pot and take a little out, even though I've planned I'm taking that little out, I don't know, it just makes me feel a bit weird. As I said, even though that was the plan all along, and no amounts of spreadsheets can fix that feeling. So yeah, money is the big one we all focus on. But the second head of that psychological dragon is, will I be bored? This is the one that really hit me. Sure, you might have plans, you know, initially, that initial trip, maybe a few projects that you've lined up, all those DIY jobs you put off while you were working, you know the things. These are all the things you plan to do as soon as you're retired. But the question is, retirement can be 30 odd years. So is that enough long term? Especially when you start confronting some of the scary questions like, will I be irrelevant? Who am I if I'm not my job? What am I going to do all day if I don't have projects to do, you know, or my job to do? It doesn't matter how much we deny it. I see it in my comments all the time. My job doesn't define me. I'm sorry, but our jobs gave us a sort of a career-defined identity. However much we hate it, it certainly gave us structure. It gave us daily interaction with co-workers, whether you like them or not. And then retirement comes along and boom, it's all gone. Traditional retirement planning, all those spreadsheets and 4% rules, they completely fail to answer this real human side of the equation. They treat retirement like it's just a financial event and that's it, yeah? When actually retirement is a really profound human experience. It's emotional. It's a big change. Think about it logically. For 30, 40 years, you've basically been doing the same thing, and then it just stops. You just don't know how exactly you're going to feel about it all. I mean, a vacation in France for a couple of weeks, that ain't it. That's just a holiday. You do holiday type things. You spend holiday type money. You know, you might sit there thinking, oh yeah, I could do this. I could retire here. That was great. But that's a holiday feeling you're having. That's not a retirement feeling. Retirement is very, very different. The thing is, there's only one way, one real way to find out what it will really be like. And that is just doing it. And then whatever you've decided you want to do, it just might be too late then. This is where the dummy run, as it were, comes in. Rehearsal part 1, the financial dummy run. Okay, so this is where you're going to rehearse the money part. How do you really find out if you can actually afford it? Well, you don't just do it with a calculator and a spreadsheet. You do it with actual life, with actual living with the money. The core financial rehearsal is this. For 3 months, you actually live on your sort of simulated retirement budget. You calculate your sort of simulated retirement income, as it were, and what you'll get from your pension, social security, and a realistic withdrawal from your savings, etc., right? Work out what that amount is or should be when you retire. Then say for 90 days, that is all the money you get to spend. This is particularly key if you're planning a kind of frugal lifestyle in order to make retirement happen, which is what, you know, I'm doing. I decided to live more frugally just to make this whole retirement lark actually work. So when your regular salary comes in, immediately you transfer only your retired amount to your account. The rest, that goes to your savings, which is of course a bonus. Hands off that. This is where the theory and the practice collide. Now you have to kind of live within your budget, your retirement budget. Maybe you budgeted on cutting back on all those sort of eating out, etc., and grabbing lunch from that fancy cafe, etc. Well, now you're going to have to actually say no to those spontaneous dinner with friends and stuff. What does that feel like? Do you think you could actually sort of keep it up? Maybe your plan involves just managing on one car when you retire. This rehearsal forces you to test that real world logistics to see if it actually happens. If you're in a couple, could you both cope just living with the one car? What happens when it's raining and you both need to be somewhere? All these little sort of boring things that you don't really consider until you retire. You don't really know until you're living day to day. And you'll soon find out exactly how many streaming subscriptions you can cut before you really miss them. This is a really useful exercise because you suddenly realize, actually, I'm just wasting money on a lot of these subscriptions. I cut back heavily on my subscriptions. I have an Xbox subscription, which I kind of kept because my son still games a lot. But I spoke to him about it and he goes, Dad, I hardly play any Xbox games, so we could just go on the really low tier. So yeah, that saved nearly 20 quid. This 90-day trial is not an accounting exercise, right? It's a behavioural one. You'll uncover hidden costs you completely forgot about. Oh, I thought I'd planned it all in my spreadsheets. But once I retired, I was probably maybe £200 short a month. And it's just all those little things, those little extra things you don't think about or you've forgotten about that you sort of come out your account that soon add up. Those little expenses here and there, things that you forget. For instance, I have like a Flickr photograph storage account. Completely forgot about that because the subscription is annual. And all of a sudden, oh yeah, here's an 80 quid bill. Completely forgot about that. Same with PC virus protection. That sort of tends to be annual. Completely forgot about that. That wasn't factored into my spreadsheet. And the constant sort of, oh Dad, could you lend me the fare train home from university at the end of term? Yeah, of course. I should have factored that in. It's better to find out all these little things in a dry run and then factor them in and make adjustments to your retirement budget accordingly. At the same time, you might also find unexpected savings. This is the only real way to find that psychological friction between your budget and actually living your life that you want to live, and fix it before it's basically too late. Solving the money problem is only half the battle. You can have all the money in the world, but if you suddenly wake up on a Tuesday of retirement with nothing, you're in trouble. So this is how you rehearse the will I be bored question. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is to use a significant block of your vacation time, your holiday time from work if you can, like at least 2 weeks if you can swing it, maybe more, maybe you have some long service leave due. Use a bit of that. Now, the reason you want it this long is because for that first week, it's going to feel like a vacation, and you'll have all the vacation high. And you need to sort of get through that vacation high element. At the end of the day, it's a holiday, yeah. But by that second week, maybe then you can start to feel that new sort of freedom and sort of get a little sense, a little hint of how it actually feels. You know, it starts to feel a bit more real. And then you might get that kind of, well, what now kind of anxiety begin to sort of creep in a bit. During this test drive, you have 3 specific missions, I'd say. The first one is to test out all your fantasies. We all have retirement visions, of course, you know, and now is the time to see if it really is a reality or just a fantasy. You dream of traveling the country in a sort of an RV or a camper van, you know. Why don't you rent one for a couple of weeks? See if you actually like dealing with the setup, the sleeping accommodation, the kind of changing of the chemical toilet, the driving, the plumbing, all of that, etc. See whether it, you know, it's actually interesting. And as I said, more than just a week, or if possible, more than just 2 weeks. See if you can still hack it after the 3rd week if you can. You dream of becoming a master gardener. Spend that time then, right? Don't go on holiday. Spend it in the garden, yeah? Tending a large garden if you can, if you've got one, or find someone who's got one, and see whether it's a passion, a genuine passion of yours and you really love it, or it's just giving you a sore back. You dream of writing that novel, yeah? Okay. See if you can actually discipline yourself to sort of sit down and write for kind of long sections of the day. Or if you just end up watching YouTube and doom scrolling on your phone. Do you have the self-motivation? And can you make it last beyond a few days? You know, staring at a blank screen, a blank sheet. The longer you have to test this, the better. Because as in retirement, as in life, there will be days where you just lack motivation. Can you cope with that? It's a real thing in retirement, and you have to accept it. Not every day is a fantastic, happy retirement day. Some days you just feel a bit bleh, and you need to know that you can manage and handle those feelings. The next mission is to test your circle of friends, the Playmates test, as it were. Your social life at work is sort of built in, that's a given. And when you retire, you have to build it again yourself, your new circle of friends. As one expert said, that people plan hobbies and travel, but what they forget about is that need for their playmates, their social group, their tribe. During your rehearsals, try to meet up with friends. You'll often get a rude awakening because they're all still working. This test shows you if you need to start actively broadening your social circle before you retire, or whether you can manage without that kind of group of friends. Can you manage with your own company? Mission 3 is test your structure. You might be surprised that you actually miss the structure of your workday. You might hate your work or get bored with work and stuff like that, but you take that structure for granted. Without it, it's easy to feel idle or unproductive, to lie there in bed just doom scrolling, and then before you know it, it's 11 o'clock and you think, oh my God, I've wasted the day, and then you start feeling guilty. Workday structure is definitely something you take for granted. It's like stabilizers on a bike when you're a little kiddie, and you take them off and then you're a bit wobbly, you're like nervous without them. So this is your chance to reinvent your routine, you know, start designing your ideal day and all of that. Maybe it's a walk, beautiful day like this. Check out my video about horrible winter blues. Today is an exception to the rule. But anyway, maybe it's a walk or a creative project and then lunch with your partner. Can you be the architect of your own fulfilling day? Or maybe it's just sitting on a bench drinking. All right. Cheers. And note what I did earlier, how you deal with those low motivation days as well. Will it get you down? Or can you pull yourself up by the bootstraps, as it were? So now you might be thinking, well, what if I do this and I kind of hate it? What if that RV, that camper van trip is a complete disaster? I thought I wanted to go hiking, but it was bloody miserable and I hated being in the tent all that time. This is the best possible outcome. Think of the money you'll save not buying all that fancy outdoor gear. The failure of your dream is basically the success of that rehearsal. It gives you a chance to kind of pivot and rethink. I knew a couple and their dream was to sell their home and live full-time in an RV sort of camper van thing. Living the camper van dream, right? I always wanted a camper van when I was younger, until I tried it. It was okay for a week. This couple, they ran a rehearsal, 3-month RV trip, and it was a complete mess. The first campground didn't have reliable Wi-Fi, so, Mark couldn't work. They didn't go far enough south, so it was cold and dreary and all of that. Then they discovered RVing just hard work generally. And then the laundry at the parks when they could find one and all of that. Oh, it was just ridiculously expensive. So what did they do? They scrapped this plan and headed home, basically. They put the RV up for sale and decided, yep, it wasn't for them. Was their rehearsal a failure then? No. It was an awesome success when you think about it, because it saved them from a miserable and expensive retirement. Traveling around by an RV is great for some people, but it's not great for others. So they pivoted. Their new informed plan was to get a small place in France, take shorter trips in the summer across Europe, and do stuff like that. And it kind of works for them. That's the power of this. This rehearsal isn't about budgets and scheduling and things like that. It runs much deeper than that. It's about finding your purpose, or at least a vague plan to fill your time, or even the courage to fill it with taking it easy if that's what you want to do. Look, don't get me wrong, I go on about a purpose and things like that, but if doing not a lot is what you really want to do, and you find out, actually, I can quite cope with not doing very much, brilliant. The big mindset, as I've said before, is changing this idea that you're retiring from something, work and stuff like that, to retiring to something. What's your new reason to get up in the morning? Maybe your rehearsal shows you that you want to go back to school and learn something new, or start volunteering in your community, or being productive in that way. The biggest thing this rehearsal will give you, it's not just data. In fact, it's not data. The biggest thing is permission. So many people, even wealthy ones, right, are haunted by that fear of spending. And what happens is their financial plan often becomes a prison, a restriction on joy, because you're scared of spending it. When you prove to yourself through a real world 90-day test that the budget works, yeah? When you prove that your days will be full and joyful, and you can handle those days of lack of motivation or not doing much, you finally give yourself psychological permission to live. You gain a confidence that no spreadsheet can ever give you. Like a rehearsal for a play, you don't know for sure how that real performance will go when it actually happens in front of a live audience. But with a rehearsal, you'll at least get a hint, a chance to iron out and test things and see what it's like before the actual performance. So yeah, that's my advice. So one thing I'd really wish I'd sort of done before I took the leap, but ultimately the living off the budget, that's the thing I really regret I didn't do. It's the difference between walking into the unknown and walking confidently onto the stage where you already know and love all the lines. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think a retirement rehearsal is a good thing? Did you do that if you've retired? Are there regrets that you didn't do that? Put it in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this video, please hit the likes, because I like it, YouTube likes it, and it helps people like you find content just like this. And if you're new to my channel, or one of the 80% of people who watch my videos on a regular basis and haven't got round to it yet, can you hit that subscribe button, toggle that notification bell, and that way you'll know when I upload videos just like this. And talking of videos just like this, why don't you check out the videos here? These ones here, just here. Thanks for watching.